mono red, kind of a big red variant on the left there. On the right, you see Charles L. Johnson III, or CLJ3, as friends affectionately call him, owner of Brewport Games, as you can see on the shirt. He is piloting pretty staple version, or standard version of Junk Aristocrats.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're finding things that you're normally seeing here. It looks like a lot of people have actually adopted Desecration Demon in this deck, and almost most decks that can cast it now, oddly enough. So that's like the really only major change you're going to find here. You guys just saw Brad Nelson's deck tech on Junk Aristocrats. Brad's version is a little bit different than Charles's. I would say that Brad's version is not the standard version that you would see of the deck. But yeah, outside of Desecration Demon, a lot of things that Charles is doing is pretty stock here. He's got 2 Obsidians in his main deck, but the rest of the usual things you're going to find: Cartel Aristocrat, Blood Artist, Doom Traveler, Voice of Resurgence, Varl's the Scar Stripe, excuse me, Lingering Souls, Tragic Slip, all that good stuff. So again, this is a matchup where, Burning Earth in theory would be good, because Charles has 25 lands in his deck and only 1 basic, but he's going to be able to get things underneath Burning Earth to begin, and so as a result, Burning Earth is actually not going to be very good in this matchup, because his deck is more of an aggressive deck, leaning towards mid-range at some points in the game, but it's going to be able to get things underneath it, like we saw in the last matchup against the white-red-black Aristocrats deck, and so that's not really where Burning Earth is going to be very good. That being said, we did see Joseph Herrera lose game 1 when he had Burning Earth in his deck and then win the 2 sideboarded games.
Yeah.
That could be the case here as well.
Yeah, presumably boarding out those Burning Earths in those games. I mean, we don't know that he did, but we never saw them in games 2 and 3. So
yeah, I think a pretty safe assumption that he did board them out. They're just not going to have the impact that they would against, as usual, a mid-range or control strategy. And while I don't consider the Junk Aristocrats deck to be a very hyper-aggressive strategy, it's aggressive enough that Burning Earth is just not going to do enough, unless Charles has a pretty poor draw, in which case you were probably going to win anyway.
Right. So here is a mulligan to 5 from Charles to start things off here in the finals. Now, last time we saw Charles on camera, he was mulliganing to 5 in Game 3 of the quarterfinals, which he won. So, it is perfectly possible to win with this deck on 5. So as he ponders his opening 5, Joe Herrera has kept on 7. And Joe will be on the play, as you mentioned earlier on, being the 3 seed here. And Charles says he keeps. Herrera leads on Mountain. Charles starts making up that mulligan with 1 extra card to Joe's, not 1 extra card, but
just 1 card.
Trying to see the silver lining for the mulligan to 5 here. Mountain on turn 2 from Herrera. Godless Shrine on turn 2 for Charles. So just land drops so far, but Herrera's got to play here. And it is a Boros Reckoner. The first spell cast of the match here in the finals of the StarCityGames.com Standard Open Series, live from Baltimore. Charles finds a Woodland Cemetery and a Varels.
So he's actually got spells to play, and he has all the color of his mana, and he has 3 lands. He has a Desecration Demon in his hand, does Johnson as well, which is actually a pretty difficult card for Herrera to beat. That thing being a 6/6 is just absolutely gigantic against a deck that's removal spells are damage-based.
Right.
Obviously, a red deck is going to have a problem dealing with a 6/6 creature, and assuming that you can draw the lands,
more than double, more than 2 burns, or I'm sorry, more than a single burn spell.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
and he does
sometimes
have
more than 2. And he does find the 4th land. Desecration Demon comes down on Charles's 4th turn after taking a hit from the Boros Reckoner down to 17. And Herrera is going to immediately Searing Spear the Varels.
Johnson doing pretty good for a mulligan to 5, honestly.
Yeah.
Like being able to play a turn 3 Varels, even though it does die to Searing Spear, and playing a turn 4 Desecration Demon, it's going to change the way that Herrera has to play this game now, because that thing just starts eating away your life total very, very quickly. And it's not like Herrera has a lot of creatures to be able to sacrifice to that card. He doesn't have creatures that make a lot of other things happen, with like a Hunt Match of the Fells, for example.
Right.
Or Lingering Souls, or something of that nature. His creatures, again, Ash Zealot, Boros Reckoner, Hell Rider, Thunderbolt Hellkite. The one thing that you can actually look towards being a reusable thing to sacrifice is Chandra's Phoenix, but there's some assembly required to do that.
Right. Wasting a lot of resources just to be able to keep a demon fogged for a couple of turns. So Herrera looks like he's going to go on offense with the Reckoner, declines to tap down the demon. So Charles' decision is either take 3 or kill the Reckoner and take 6. So he decides to just take 3 from the Reckoner, and there you see a Chandra's Phoenix, I believe.
Yep. So that's one of the ways for Herrera to shut down that demon. You know, he can get a little creative, sacrifice it to tap it, and then, you know, if he has like a card like Chandra Pyromaster in play, he can actually shoot his opponent, get it back because of the Phoenix's text. And you know, there's some roundabout ways to be able to lock down that demon for good. It's going to take a little bit of work, as I said, but if he can get it,
yeah. Because the thing is, like, okay, he plays the Phoenix. Okay, he sacks the Phoenix, and he gets it back, and now he needs to spend 3 mana to get it back out there. If that's how he's going to deal with the demon, he's down 3 mana every turn, presuming he's dealing damage to get it back. But you know, that's actually a nice way to play against Chandra's Phoenix. If an opponent is going to continue to just cast it, then they're wasting their turn or spending half of their turn doing that. So it looks like Demon comes across for 6, knocking Herrera to 14, and Charles's follow-up is his second copy of Varol's post-combat here.
We're having some mana issues here. You see in his hand, he's got at least one Thundermaw Hellkite. He's got a Chandra in his hand, Burning Earths, Hell Riders, all 4 mana spells, no land, 25 land deck, having some mana issues, even though he kept his opening 7.
Yeah. So here we see Herrera with 3 lands, no land drop for the turn, as you just mentioned. He's going to. Okay, so Charles says, "Wait, combat." Okay.
Do you want to sacrifice something?
Do you want to sacrifice anything? No. Okay. So Boros Reckoner coming across alongside that Chandra's Phoenix. Now Charles thinking about his options here. Both players at 14 now. Charles having been hit with the Reckoner twice, and Herrera having been hit with the Demon once. Charles is now going to take the 5 there and go to 9. Now Charles has turned untapped. Was that a tragic?
That is a tragic slip. That's a really big draw right now. A really, really big draw for him. I think one removal spell would actually be really good for him this game, and he did find one.
So Demon triggers. Joe says nope. You can bring it, and so Varol's and the Demon crash in for 8, knocking Joe Herrera to 6.
And I see a Cartel Aristocrat here.
Charles taps 2, and a Cartel Aristocrat is the play from Charles post-combat here. Passes back to Joe, untaps. Does he find that 4th land? He does not.
No.
So Joe with he's just bottlenecked on mana. A handful of 4 mana spells, as far as I can tell. You see the Searing Spear in his graveyard. Use that to take out the first Varol's. Charles plays 2 main deck and has managed to find the second one in the subsequent turns.
Yeah, I mean, Herrera's just in a really difficult spot. This game obviously did not go the way that he drew it up after his mulligan to 5. And I think that Herrera probably kept a pretty good hand. Maybe a hand that had 3 lands in it. He just hasn't drawn one since. Again, you know, Mono Red doesn't have any card drawing or manipulation, so you can't control your draw.
Chandra's about the best thing he can do, and you need 4 mana for that. So. Second copy of Chandra's Phoenix now from Herrera. One of the only castable spells in his hands, possibly the only castable spell in his hand. And it looks like he's considering passing the turn here.
Yeah, I think Herrera has to put the brakes on now, which isn't something that he probably wants to do, but I think he has to. And the difficult thing here for him, too, right now, is that if Johnson sees the play, then Herrera's going to turn everything sideways.
Not going to put the brakes on, so he's going to swing in with one of the Phoenixes and the Boros Reckoner.
But then on the following turn, depending on how Johnson wants to block this turn, because he has Tragic Slip access right now.
Right.
And you know, what he doesn't want to have happen is, you know, he takes 5, go down to 1, then Herrera plays a mountain, and then Pillar of Flames him and kills him. So he's probably going to block in an interesting way here. That being said, what Johnson doesn't want to do, or what he wants to do next turn, is he can kill Herrera next turn by sacrificing Desecration Demon to like Cartel Aristocrat, and then scavenging onto the Aristocrat. It'll have pro red, and then get the counters onto it. So it would be a, as we're going to see, double Tragic Slip here. It would have been an 8/8, and he could have finished him off with it.
So he puts the he sacrifices the Cartel Aristocrat to trigger Morbid, and then uses Tragic Slip to kill both attackers. So now we're having a Desecration Demon conversation.
Yeah.
This is still at the end of Joe's turn.
So this is going to untap here. Yeah, passes the turn.
All right.
Players are going to untap here, and it looks like if Johnson draws a land, the game's over too.
And he
did
did
just draw a land, because now he can double scavenge onto his Verils. He can scavenge the Verils and the Cartel Aristocrat. That'll give his Verils +4/+4, which will make it a 6/6. There'll be 2 6/6s.
Yeah.
Herrera's life total conveniently at 6. So we'll see if Charles Johnson sees that play this turn as well.
Charles considering all his options. He's going to go ahead and scavenge once. All right, he's going to back up here. Looked like he was going to scavenge. He's definitely got scavenging in mind here.
And he's working with very, very good information. There's nothing that Herrera can do when he's tapped out. So,
Yeah.
You know, this is a situation where I think he just, oh wow, not going for it. I'm really surprised by this. Assuming that he drew a land, I'm really,
Yeah, maybe
really
I
surprised.
misunderstood that maybe it wasn't a land. I thought he did draw a land. But Verils is going to come across for 4, knock Joe to 2. And so apparently it was not a land.
Yeah.
We must have...
Well, there's that.
That
It's a
was
Godless
definitely
Shrine.
a Godless Shrine. That's odd.
I think he just missed it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure why he did that. But either way, he takes game 1 here in the finals of the StarCityGames.com Standard Open live from Baltimore. Joe Herrera with Mono Red versus Charles Johnson and Junk Aristocrats is the match. I'm Joey Pasco. That's Cedric Phillips.
I'm not Joey Pasco. I'm not.
That's not Joey Pasco. I'm not Cedric Phillips.
There you go. Perfect.
Figured it out.
Trivia time, dude.
Trivia time. So
You got the year-long question?
do you? Yeah, it's going to take me a little while to read it out.
Okay.
But maybe not a whole year. 10 months.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
All right.
Actually, you go ahead and explain how this works.
12 months. That's what we're giving away. Hashtag your answer on Twitter. Hashtag SCG Premium. Joey's going to ask you a question. It's probably not going to be that hard. You've got the internet. You can cheat if you want to. Hashtag your answer on Twitter. Hashtag SCG Premium. We'll announce the winner at the conclusion of our finals match between Charles Johnson and Joseph Herrera. Mr. Pasco, take it away.
I'm feeling pretty good this morning. I'm going to give him a real easy one.
Okay.
What is the name? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I was going to say, what is the name of the game we're playing?
Yeah.
So, no, that's a little too easy. So, for 12 months of SCG Premium, we have a Junk Aristocrats deck here in the finals.
We do.
Who won last time we were in Baltimore piloting Junk Aristocrats? Who won the Standard Open last time we were in Baltimore piloting Junk Aristocrats? Now, he or she, I'm sure, will be listed somewhere on the StarCityGames.com page, which is currently down, so you may need to be clever with this.
A little
one.
crafty with
Yeah.
Lord Google.
Yeah.
That's what you'll have to do.
That is if you don't know the answer already. But
True. If you do know the answer, hashtag your answer, SCG Premium. Again, we will announce the winner at the conclusion of this round. It is about accuracy, not speed. So whoever does win between Mr. Joseph Herrera and Mr. Charles Johnson, after we conclude that match, we'll announce our winner. We'll even do like a winner's interview on the sideboard and present them with the trophy and all that good stuff. But we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because we're going to take a look at the sideboard right now as well. Johnson wins game 1. He's really good at mulliganing to 5 and winning.
he really is.
Might be like a
It's
secret
his
technique.
thing,
Yeah.
He just doesn't look at his opening 7, mulls again, doesn't look at 6, and mulls again.
5 and say, hey, good enough, let's go.
Whatever it is.
Yeah,
keep
heaven
it.
forbid he keeps 7 cards. I don't know if anyone can ever beat him. Herrera's going to try those. We'll take a look at his sideboard of 3 Rolling Temblor, 2 Zealous Conscripts, 3 Ratchet Bombs, 4 Curse of the Pierced Heart, and 3 Mythium Mortars. I think he's going to sideboard much in the same way that he did for the previous matchup, which is bringing in Rolling Temblors, Ratchet Bombs, and Mythium Mortars, and siding out some combination of cards. You can make an argument for Zealous Conscripts in this matchup because there are some bigger threats.
Yeah, we saw the
Herrera's
Desecration Demon.
Yeah, on Johnson's side for this matchup. So it is certainly possible that would be a thing that could occur. Again, we'll see what ends up happening for Herrera, how he wants to sideboard, because he did not sideboard the way that I thought he would in the previous matchup, but he did win.
Yep.
Doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean he's right, but hey, whatever gets you a win, gets you the trophy. He's down a game, he's got to win 2 of them. For Johnson's sideboard, he's your pal. Go after it.
All right. Well, I'm not a Junk Aristocrats aficionado like people, like Charles or Brad Nelson, maybe, guys like that.
Yep.
Charles's sideboard is 1 Putrefied, 2 Duress, 2 Garrick Relentless, 2 Golgari Charm, 3 Appetite for Brains, 3 Lifebane Zombie, and 2 Abrupt Decay. So he's facing off against kind of a bigger red deck, but there are still a few targets there for cards like Abrupt Decay. He's got He's got that Planeswalker there that seems always appealing to me, Garruk Relentless, being able to kind of be used as a removal spell as well. He's also got Putrefy in there, so he's got some removal. The Golgari Charms actually may come in handy if Ratchet Bomb and Rolling Timber are the ways that Herrera is planning on fighting Charles' strategy.
Those are the ways that I plan on seeing him fight. You know, I like.
Yeah.
I think that Garruk's fine. Duress is okay. It's not great, but it's acceptable. I think the information that Duress provides is the big thing.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, like, Abrupt Decay is okay if you fear Boros Reckoner. Boros Reckoner can be of annoyance, but he already does have 4 Treasure Slips in his deck. I think boarding into 6 removal spells, like, it's a little bit risky, like, because Abrupt Decay is going to do a nice job taking care of Reckoner. I don't think you really care about taking care of Asheld or Chandra's Phoenix, and then you're going to miss Hellrider and Thunderbolt Hellkite, and, like, you actually can't hit Ratchet Bomb, which is can be kind of nice. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Decay come in. It feels like it's just okay to me, though. It's not like a windmill slam.
Yeah.
And again, what we saw in the last matchup for Herrera when he was playing against Michael DiFiore is that none of the cards in Johnson's sideboard are screaming, "Hey, I'm here to beat a big red deck."
Exactly. Well, I mean, nobody. I think you could search the sideboards of all 541 players and say nothing is here to beat a big red deck.
Correct. So that's where Herrera gets a bit of an advantage. Is people don't have sideboard cards for you. The cards can have applications for the matchup, but there isn't anything in his deck there's not anything in people's sideboards that say, "Hey, I don't want to lose to this particular strategy." So that's a nice thing for him, and that gives him probably a leg up in sideboarding games where people are kind of boarding in cards that will have applications, but nothing that is directly hateful towards his deck. We're trying to find ways that Johnson can improve the matchup by saying that Garruk might be a little bit better. Abrupt Decay might be an improvement on a certain card. Do you want to board in either some number of Appetite for Brains or Duress? Those would be upgrades on something in this matchup. Who knows? At the end of the day, I think that Herrera is able to make his deck a lot better after sideboard than Johnson is, and thankfully for him, you get to play 2 sideboard games instead of just 1.
Right.
So again, I think it's very possible for Herrera to be able to win these 2 games. And the first game, again, Johnson mulligan to 5, and Herrera, if he would have hit his 4th land drop on time, I think we see him actually end up. I mean, we see a wildly different game.
Way different game.
Yeah,
for sure. So, it looks like players are shuffling each other's libraries here, so we're getting close to them drawing their opening 7s. If you're just joining us, you caught us just in time to watch the finals of the StarCityGames.com Standard Open Series live from Baltimore. Charles L. Johnson up a game with Junk Aristocrats over Joe Herrera and his mono red deck, kind of a big red deck. Bigger than your typical mono red deck, anyway. So a very big surprise, I think, for the top 8 and to make the finals. Kudos to Joe. Joe actually won a Standard Open in the past back in Atlanta with Naya Humans.
I was there.
You were there?
I was there. Patrick Sullivan and I casting it much earlier this year. I think it was in January, February, one of the 2. Yep. He took it down in the Gwinnett Center out in Atlanta with his kind of mid-range Naya Humans deck. He looks like he's a fan of mid-range strategies as he starts off here with a Ratchet Bomb.
Charles, a top 8 competitor in Richmond, I believe.
Okay. So both these guys do have some Open Series success. And one of them, Herrera looking for a 2nd title, Johnson looking for his 1st. Johnson's well on his way, and he's getting game 2 started off with the Scavenging Ooze.
So Ratchet Bomb ticks up to 1 for Joe Herrera. Draws his card for his 3rd turn. Has a mountain, has 2 mountains in fact, so we're going to see him hit 4 this turn.
Yeah, he actually has lands this game.
Yeah. Or this game is what I meant, not this turn. So, Boros Reckoner comes down on turn 3. Herrera passes back to Charles. And a Sun Petal Grove drawn for the turn. Charles looks to have plenty of land as well. Woodland Cemetery is the play. I see a Putrefy there. That'll make fast work of the Reckoner should Charles decide to fire it off.
It's basically a question of, do you want to take a Reckoner, do you want to save it for a Thundermaw Hellkite? He's going to play a Varels and Scar Stripe. Looks like he wants to save that Putrefy for a better situation. At this point, he's also varying up his casting cost right now as well for that Ratchet Bomb. Bomb's going to move up to 2. Has the ability to take out Scavenging Ooze now if it wants to. If it does move up to 3, of course, it would take out the Reckoner. It would attempt to take out the Varels. So, we'll see exactly what he wants to do with the Ratchet Bomb in this game, what he decides the sweet spot is in this matchup. So Herrera on his 4th turn
He's going to swing in with the Reckoner, knock Charles to 17. His hand does not seem to. I didn't quite catch. I thought I saw a Brimstone Volley possibly.
It's not very creature related. It has like another Ratchet Bomb and some burn spells in there.
Yeah.
There's a Mizian Mortars in his hand right
That
now.
may have been what it was, and maybe
but
not a Brimstone
he doesn't
Volley.
have like a Hellrider, doesn't have a Thermal Hellkite, doesn't have a Chandra, so no real great follows right now. He can start trying to pick off some of the creatures that Johnson has, but he's not really doing anything great. He's Searing Spear going to target barrels. Not sure I love the ordering of this. What I think he might be better off doing is, he sacrifices Ratchet Bomb to take care of the 2-drop in response to the in response to the regeneration, then fire off the spear. Yeah, I mean, depending on how he wants to use Ratchet Bomb this game.
Yeah, and Charles is actually able to protect the barrels not only with the regeneration shield, which we saw him just do, sacrificing the ooze to regenerate the barrels, but Putrefy doesn't just target creatures.
Yeah.
He could actually kill the Ratchet Bomb before it reaches 3 and, save the barrels that way.
So, Herrera stepped away from the table, probably asking the judge a question, is my assumption. He's probably asking how exactly regeneration shields work. So, what happened here is that he goes spear your barrels, regenerate it. So it's been dealt lethal damage. So now if he wants to finish off with mortars, he can do that because the first regeneration shield is over.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he can finish it off.
Yeah.
But what that did is he basically used 2 cards to take care of 2 cards. So he uses Mizian Mortars and Searing Spear to take care of Scavenging Ooze and Barrels, which I would rather save Mizian Mortars, I think. But you can also make the argument of Ratchet Bomb is better at taking care of Desecration Demon. And that's the card that beat him game 1. So he would like to have a clean answer to that. And here's another Scavenging Ooze.
So Charles is actually going to put another 2-drop out there for that Ratchet Bomb. And that Ratchet Bomb stays on 2, at least for the time being. So Joe Herrera with 4 lands in play, his 5th land in hand, alongside a Ratchet Bomb, and I want to say either another Mizian Mortars or a Brimstone Volley, but I'm not getting a great look.
It's a red card.
It's a red card.
Yep.
That's
why they bring me here. It's a 4-mana red card.
It's a 4-mana red card.
It's a Hellrider.
Hellrider, okay. I think he may have just top decked that Hellrider.
Almost certainly. Last card in his hand is Ratchet Bomb.
Yeah.
So what Herrera can do here is if he wants to put the pedal to the metal, he can certainly do that by blowing with the Ratchet Bomb for 2, taking care of the Scavenging Ooze, getting in for 8 points of damage, 2 Hellrider triggers plus 6 points of combat damage, putting Johnson down to what would be 9.
Yes.
He would gain 2 with he'd be able to gain 2 with the Scavenging Ooze, however.
So we're going to see the attack here.
I do not like giving Johnson the opportunity to block at all here. I want to blow up that Ratchet Bomb. I want that Scavenging Ooze out of the way.
And that's
exactly
what's
going to happen.
Yeah. So Charles has a Golgari Charm to regenerate the Ooze.
That's actually really nice because Ooze can take over this game on its own.
Charles is going to fall to 9 here, but he does save his Ooze. And does deal with the Ratchet Bomb in an indirect way here. And for his turn, he has his 5th land, plays Sun Petal Grove. He has a Lingering Souls, I think, in hand. Is that?
He's currently here looking at a Doom Traveler. He's got a Putrefy.
Doom Traveler.
So he's the most important thing right now isn't really the cards in his hand. It's the card that's on the board and Scavenging Ooze, and the fact that he has 4 green mana, so he can actually make this into a 4/4. It beats Hellrider in combat. He's got a Putrefy that can take care of that Boros Reckoner, so he's actually sitting in a pretty good position right now. He's going to Putrefy the Hellrider, which is a little bit surprising because I would consider Boros Reckoner to be the actual threat that matters right now. Maybe he's going to get on the aggressive. Okay.
So, yeah, Scavenging Ooze swings, and he is going to activate it before damage so that he pumps up the Ooze to 4. Goes up to 11. And knocks Herrera to 16. So the board state right now, well, never mind, it just changed quite a bit.
Yeah, it just changed drastically. So now Thunderwall Hellkite shows up to the party, in for 8 damage, going to put Johnson down to 3. That's part of the reason I don't like the Putrefy use. Additionally, that's part of the reason that I don't like the attack with Scavenging Ooze is because I don't think he's in the position to turn the corner in the game yet.
So Thunderwall Hellkite from Herrera comes down, and Charles now down to 3, as Cedric mentioned. So the board state now, Herrera with 5 Mountains, Thundermaw, Hellkite, and Boros Reckoner all tapped. Charles Johnson on the other side, 5 lands, and a Scavenging Ooze with 2 counters. Joe is at 16, Charles at 3, and a Desecration Demon is the play from Charles Johnson.
See, that turn, Joe, is so much different than the previous turn. If Johnson's turn is just play my 5th land and just say go, with access to Putrefy and Scavenging Ooze as a blocker, then Herrera has the Boros Reckoner and the Hell Rider. He top decks Thundermaw Hellkite, plays it, and then goes to attacks that. Putrefy is going to take care of something, and what it can do is it just leads Herrera into a pretty big trap, because if you attack with all 3 of his guys, there's 3 Hell Rider triggers, then you Putrefy the Thundermaw Hellkite, you put the Scavenging Ooze in front of the Hell Rider, you gain some life, and then it's just Boros Reckoner versus a large Scavenging Ooze. But now he doesn't have Putrefy, he's in a world of trouble, and now for Herrera, all he has to do is, draw Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah.
He was already had him dead anyway, because he just sacrifices the Reckoner to the Desecration Demon's ability, and it gets in for the last 5 points of damage.
Right.
I just don't like the way that Johnson played that game, because he just tried to get aggressive way too early when his life total wasn't high enough, and the board position just wasn't in his favor. It's not the time to turn the corner just yet.
So I think Charles is figuring that out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they also just top deck double Thundermaw Hellkite,
Absolutely.
runner,
Absolutely.
and you're not really going to be in a great shape either way. But yeah, I agree with maybe still being a little more conservative on that earlier turn, where you can, things are still kind of working themselves out, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
As far as if he had the follow-up Desecration Demon. In fact, I think he may have top decked the Desecration Demon, so he didn't know, but still. I liked your line of play a little bit better, and it may not have ended up mattering too much, considering double Thundermaw Hellkite
the
is in his future.
The second Thundermaw kind of cuts up the plan a little bit. But again, I think that when you're playing against this deck, you want to be conservative until you're sure that you can actually fully turn the corner. Like, there is a time and place where you want to start attacking them to cut their draw steps, so they can't peel Runner Thundermaw Hellkite on you. I don't think that was a time and place, because I don't think that he had done enough to seize control of the game. I still think he was working out on seizing control of the game and actually getting to the point where he could turn the corner. A little bit hasty in his assessment of the game, because even if, for example, let's say that Herrera doesn't peel Thundermaw Hellkite, he just peels Hell Rider that turn. A Hell Rider is still bad news. Yeah. Because, Johnson had tapped out of mana. Yes, he does have a 4/4 Scavenging Ooze, but now it goes Hell Rider, Boros Reckoner in, 2 triggers from the Hell Rider, deal you 8 again. And now, Ooze is standing supreme on the board, because Ooze will probably hang back on defense, and then Johnson will play a Desecration Demon and a Doom Traveler and pass, or maybe leave some mana up for the Ooze. But then now Thundermaw Hellkite becomes a live draw again. So, Thundermaw Hellkite's going to be live there a high percentage of the time anyway, but I feel like you're kind of opening yourself up to a lot of different things that have haste, whereas you can kind of close the windows on some of the other cards. And I think by attacking with Scavenging Ooze that turn, he opened himself up to getting top decked out by a varying range of cards instead of just Thundermaw Hellkite. Yeah. It ended up being Runner Thundermaw Hellkite, but I think you opened the windows up to a lot of different cards, or combination of cards, to end up letting Herrera peel and win him the game.
So what do you think, here we go into Game 3 of the finals of the StarCityGames.com Standard Open, live from Baltimore. What do you think these guys do, if anything, as far as sideboards go? Do you think they do anything differently here going into Game 3?
It doesn't really look like they're going to shift anything up. Herrera's actually going back to his board right now, where Charles Johnson's already shuffled, and he's good to go, so he's happy with his configuration. One thing I like to do is I always like to just at least look at the sideboard, look through my deck again. Maybe I missed something. Right. It's the final game of the tournament. There's no reason to be overly cautious to make sure I didn't miss anything. It looks like Herrera, he did his double and triple checks, and now he's sideboarding. Well, he's reshuffling, excuse me. It doesn't look like he's sideboarded back anything in or out of his deck, and he's just happy to go. So, I like at least checking to make sure that I'm happy exactly where I'm at before playing. Again, this is the last game of the tournament.
That's right. Final game here of Standard in Baltimore. I mentioned this yesterday, but wanted to give it another plug today. Charles Johnson, the owner of Brewport Games. It's a new shop, opened right back in May, I believe May 5th. Cinco de Mayo was the grand opening extravaganza at Brewport, and it's picking up a lot of steam over the past couple of months. Not too far out, probably about 15-20 minutes from the Inner Harbor, so just out in the suburbs. 1826 East Joppa Road if you're local, look it up. Or, if you're not local, you can look it up too. And come on out to play. That's the shop that I go to.
Sure. So Johnson's going to take one mulligan. This is a secret move.
That's right.
Yeah. First mulligan, working on going down to 5 here, and then once he gets to 5, Herrera, it's over for you. That's how it works. Put him in a sleep roll. See, what he does is he lulls them.
That's right.
Into a false sense of security, and then decimates them on a mulligan to 5. That's how this works. At least that's how we think it works.
Mull to 5, Johnson.
Is that what you're going to start calling to the store?
There we go. Or just like give him a shirt that has an elemental token on it and a no, crossed out.
Yeah.
Don't need elemental tokens.
It's easy. This is easy.
I play my voice of Resurgence as just a 2/2. It's a grizzly bear.
Don't remind him.
No, we I talked to him quickly after the match yesterday where he had missed a couple of voice triggers, and he said, I said, did you realize it? And he said, I realized it right away, but I didn't want to tilt. Like, well, you did such a good job of not tilting, I couldn't tell that you knew that you missed it. So that's good, Just kind of controlling your emotions during the match. I think that's
very important
Yeah.
when you're playing in tournament matches to control your emotions and not let your mistakes get to you. It's one of the most important things that can happen because you're not going to play perfect over the course of the weekend, and how you deal with making mistakes like that will really let you know how your weekend's going, and it can really change the way that your weekend's going.
Herrera cutting the deck so that apparently trying to give Charles a bad 6, but little does he know. He did see a taste of it in game 1.
He's falling into his plan.
So let's see.
Yep,
look at that, going to
perfect
5.
Executing his ultimate.
It's like the tombstone.
Yes.
Right?
Building towards his limit break.
What was Triple H's move?
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know. The pedigree?
Is
that what it's called? Is that that's just a rough guess?
It's the pedigree.
Or is it when he uses the sledgehammer? I'm not really quite sure what Triple H does.
We're going to do the rock bottom.
That's
if Charles reaches for a sock in a second.
Yes, the mankind.
The mankind mandible jaw or something, wasn't that what it was?
I don't know. It might be the mandible claw.
Mandible claw.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I'm
Makes a lot more
spitballing here. I'm just guessing. I'm not quite sure what Mick Foley's finishing move is. I don't have the slightest idea. That's Mankind's real name.
I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Cactus Jack.
Wow, look at you go! Do you know his third? Do you know his third alias? I'm very impressed, actually. I really am.
Mick Foley's my favorite wrestler. I don't watch wrestling, but when I did,
favorite wrestler? Wow.
Mick Foley's my favorite wrestler.
All right.
I like Triple H quite a bit as well, but completely different kinds of wrestlers there.
They are wildly different. Yeah, I'm surprised that those are the two that you actually like.
You can tell what era I watched, though.
Yeah,
like it was like post Degeneration X, but they were still kind of around. Like late '90s, really is when I watched it, of course, in the '80s.
The
Ultimate
Attitude
Warrior
era.
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
Nobody missed Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior back in the '80s. Everybody was watching.
I was too young then.
Yeah.
Like I probably watched it when I was a kid and stuff. Like my dad, I probably watched it with my dad or something. I just don't have memories of it. Joe's saying that he is afraid of the mulligan to 5.
And
he should be.
Yeah. It's like Hell in a Cell with the Undertaker.
At WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Did you know the Undertaker's 21-0 at WrestleMania? Neither did I. I'm just guessing. I didn't know that either.
I genuinely didn't know it and didn't even guess right. All right.
There's the obviously keeping. There's no way he's not keeping. Yeah, Godless Shrine go. Lulling you in.
If Charles wins this
What do you mean
match,
if? When? Turn 1
Mutavault is the play from Herrera, not a mountain. Interesting. Charles has
I think he's playing Mutavault. He's playing Mutavault on turn 1 for the fact that he could actually attack with it on turn 2.
Yeah.
He's more just going to take care of the Aristocrat. But by playing Mutavault on turn 1, that means there's no Reckoner coming until at least turn 4. So, that's got to be a good thing for Charles, is he's going to play a Land Tap and play a Dune Traveler and pass. Actually using Isolated Chapel for the mana.
Right. It looked like he was putting it in play tap, but it was actually just an Isolated Chapel. So
there's
Chandra's Phoenix comes into play tapped and attacking. Shortcutting there. Joe Herrera knocks Charles to 18. Charles here on turn 4 has his 4th land drop. Does he have a spell?
Yeah, that's the question, actually.
Swing with Doom Traveler and say go. So no spell from him just yet. I think his hand may be all lands.
I think it's 2 lands, actually. Not good news.
That just means he's got all gas on the top.
Okay. We'll see. In comes the Phoenix.
Yeah, so Phoenix knocks Charles to 16, and the follow-up is Boros Reckoner on turn 4, as you predicted. The top of the library is a Temple Garden, so it's land go from Charles. Flooding out a little here. It is still early. So Joe on 4 lands right now. Didn't quite catch. He does have the 5th land. He's going to play a mountain here, I think. So he may even have an additional Mutavault, actually. Yeah, that's what he's going to play. And he taps all 5 for Thundermaw Hellkite. So this is trouble. Here comes quite a bit of damage. 10. Reckoner's going to be chump blocked by the Doomed Traveler.
The 1 damage is going to go upstairs from the Reckoner's ability. The Mulligan at 5 has worked really well for Charles Johnson over the course of this tournament. I don't think it's going to be able to do it this time, though, however. Voice of Resurgence is going to come down. It's got to block Boros Reckoner. Yeah, I mean, the Spirit Token can get in front of Thundermaw, but...
Yeah, that's not much.
I mean, there's even 2 Mutavaults there in the lands, too, so I could see him just activating both of those and getting in. But I think we might see a Hell Rider, a bunch of triggers.
All the pressure. And yeah, he's going to activate the Mutavault for that's just going to be 5 right there. And there it is. Joe Herrera defeats Charles Johnson in 3 games here in the finals of the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Baltimore. Sometimes, the pedigree is just not enough. The rock bottom